Hello everyone, it's your girl Kaliyah Fashion, and I am doing a Facebook takeover with Girls Who Brunch. So I'll be reading two books, and the first book I am reading is Hakim and Grenita. It is retold and illustrated by Crump Jr. Okay, let's start. Hakim and Grenita. Retold and illustrated by Crump Jr. Once long ago, in the Black Forest, there lived a poor woodcutter and his family. His first wife had died, and he had remarried to have a mother for his two children. Hakim and Grenita times were hard for the little family, and often there were not enough food. There was not much food. As you can see, you guys, they are poor, and as you see, Hakim and Grenita are sad. The flower is dying. There's a cat. And look at the house. I feel bad. Hi, Angel. The new stepmother turned out to be a grouch. When their family was out cutting wood, she was unkind to Hakim and Grenita, and she was so greedy she often ate their share of food. Hakim and Grenita were too afraid of their stepmother to tell their father. Things did not get better. As you see, she's eating the little chicken bone, and right now they're like cleaning up. And she's like sweeping and hiding food. And look at this. Look at the little curtain they washed. And look at the little, like, mom. Like, no, that's so rude. No. One day, the stepmother decided that if she could get rid of the children, there would be more to eat. So she sent them into the Black Forest to hunt for berries, hoping they would get lost. Go to the berry patch beyond the 7 lakes, she ordered, and do not return home until your pails are full. Now, Hakim knew this was a long walk indeed into the forest, so fearing they might get lost, he left a trail of white pebbles. When they finally reached the berry patch, it was late in the day. They hastily filled their pails and naturally snatched a few munched on. A trail of white pebbles. So right now, they're at the little berries patch, and if you guys see, look at the trees. It's black, and they have all like these little berries, but their outfits are really cute. Yeah. And right now, Hakim is just laying the little pebbles. Then they followed the trail off pebbles and barely returned home before dark. Their father was happy to see them return safely, but the stepmother's grouchy look could have soured the milk they poured of their berries. Father was glad to see them, though. As you see, her face is like, I thought you would never come back again. But everybody else is happy, and the father's happy, and they're happy they got the berries and everything. But you can still kind of see that they are not as wealthy, because, like, look at their house. Oh, look at the little cat. The next day, the stepmother sent them even farther into the forest. There grows a cherry tree at the edge of Sorry Swamp. Do not return until your pails are full, unless I shall box your ears. Now, this time, Hakim had filled his pockets with breadcrumbs. He dropped a trail of them as they made the long walk. At last, they found the cherry tree and filled their pails. But when they looked for the trail of crumbs, they saw that the birds had eaten every one. This time, they were lost for sure. birds ate the bird crumbs, the breadcrumbs. Look at this picture. You see the swamp everywhere on the trees. You see the little owl in the tree. And look at that. Look at the alligator and everything. Like, this is so unsafe. Do you not see that wolf? This is so unsafe for her. Like, speak up. If anybody is bullying you, if it's an adult, an elderly person, a kid, your cousin, anybody, you speak up and tell somebody you trust, because that is not okay. It's just not. Darkness came quickly, and Grenita began to cry. Hakim tried to comfort his sister. He gathered leaves and furs to make a soft place to rest. They ate the cherries and drank from a little spring. Then they said their prayers and tried to go to sleep, but things wiggled and hissed in the dark. An owl hooted and wolf howled, and Hakim and Grenita held onto each other for comfort. The dark forest was scary. Look at that. Do you see all those little creatures? Even the tree, like the tree is alive. That's scary. And then the fairy of sleep appeared in a gentle light and sang a soft lullaby. Hakim and Grenita slept and dreamed they were home safe with their father. The fairy faded into the night, and the forest grew quiet. The sleep fairy appeared. So the sleep fairy basically gave them good night dreams so they can go to sleep. See, everybody's asleep. You see the owl, you see the sun smiling. Asleep. Uh-oh, uh-oh. But when the dawn came, poor Hakim and Grenita were still lost and cold and hungry. They ate the last few cherries, then washed at the spring. For hours they searched for the path leading home, but what they found instead was a most elegant little house made of gingerbread and icing. It looked delicious. Hakim broke off a bit of the gingerbread and gave some to Grenita. It tasted wonderful, and scattered all about there was big gumdrops and chocolate and cookies and candy canes. The house was gingerbread. I love building gingerbread house when it's during Christmas. I don't know, I know it's not the Christmas holiday, but I don't know about you guys, but comment down below if you love to make gingerbread houses during Christmas. But their happy munching was interrupted by a squeaky voice from inside that saying, "Nibble, nibble, little mouse, who is nibbling on my house?" Then an old wrinkly green witch came out and grabbed them by their arms. "Well, my dearie dears, just in time for lunch," she chuckled. And from way she smacked her lips. Hakim thought maybe they would be the lunch. A witch grabbed them. You see, there's a little bird and the witch, and look at the cat. And look at the gingerbread house. It's sprouting. But that does look good. I mean, I'll probably eat that too. But then if she grabbed me, I'll go like, no. No. G was right. The witch shoved him into a wooden cage and bolted the door. She danced around cackling. "Now, make yourself comfy, my little plump little dove," she said. "Your sister and I will make a fire in the oven to toast your golden brown." Grenita was forced to fill the oven with twigs and branches until it made a roaring fire. She sobbed and sniffed as the witch slammed the door to wait for the oven to heat up. That's not good. The old witch dance. Look at little Grenita. She has like a little teardrop. And she dancing and everything. Oh, look at the bird. This, you guys, is like, it's like funny, but it's sad at the same time because, like, why would she do that to somebody? Just why? Why would you eat somebody? Why? That's my answer. Why? After a while, the witch said, "Open the oven door to see if it's hot enough to cook him toasty brown." But Grenita pretended the oven door was stuck and said, "Help me, Miss Witch, for it's too hard to pull open." "Punny girl," snorted the witch as she yanked the door open. Then she peeked inside to check the heat. "Just about right," she cuckolded. "Good," said Grenita. Then she shoved the wicked witch into the oven and slammed the door. Then she shut the oven door. Dun, dun, dun. That's so funny. I would never put my head in the oven, though. Then the witch magic spells were broken, the gingerbread house and all the goodies disappeared. The big black oven hiccuped twice and then collapsed in a cloud of dust. All the magic disappeared. Do you see that, you guys? So they thought they were eating real food. It was actually just fake. It was just magic. So everything, the bird, the cat, the candy, everything she had was magic. And now that she's dead, the magic's dead. So as you see, the little oven's melting. Everything is like bubbly, like. And Hakim and Grenita were left once again in the quiet forest. Just then their father, who had been searching for them, came out of the woods. What a happy reunion, as they told him their tale of the magic gingerbread house, and he too had good news. He was to work as royal woodsman for the king, and they should never want for anything again. And best of all, father found them. Look at that, that's so cute. So father, and like it's a happy reunion. And you could tell because the trees are pretty, the flowers are blooming, the sky is lighting, everything. G has sent the unkind stepmother away and left was very fine indeed for all of the rest of their days. And that is the end of Hakim and Grenita. The second book I will be reading is Thumbelina. Retold and illustrated by Crump Jr. Thumbelina, retold and illustrated by Crump Jr. So right now there's a hand and putting a seed in a little pot, and the pot's growing. Thumbelina. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Ooh, okay. Back in the once upon a time days, there lived a little old lady named Miss Mood. One day, a peddler woman knocked on Miss Moon's door and asked for a cup of cold water. In return for her kindness, the peddler gave Miss Moon a flower seed. She planted the seed in the pot. The following morning, a little plant was growing in the pot. It had a bright pink bud. Miss Moon touched the bud and it uncurled into a beautiful blossom. And there inside the flower stood a tiny maiden about as big as your thumb. Thumbelina. Thumbelina's so pretty. She actually is the size of my thumb. They must have had measured that. Anyways, Miss Mood named the little lady Thumbelina. She sewed her some tiny clothes and made her a bed from a conch shell. Thumbelina was a pleasant company. She could tell funny stories and she could dance, and when she sang, it sounded like silver bells and nightingales. One night, a frog heard Thumbelina singing and hopped up to the window. It was love at first sight. He grabbed Thumbelina and fled into darkness. What? Thank you. Like, what? But as you see, she's dancing. And look at her little earrings. Like, everybody's like, what is she wearing? Like, she has a gold bangles and gold hoops. And look at the little gold thing. Like, headband. And her hair, look how curly that is. Look at the little candle and a little big flower pot. And look at that frog. Don't forget about that frog. It got a little bow tie. Nobody better tell me that's not cute, because that is adorable how this author just did that. Poor Thumbelina was too frightened to cry out. The frog hippity-hopped to a pond and put her on a lily pad. He told his mother he had found a wife. Mama Frog was not pleased. She pointed out that a frog's wife should have a long, sticky tongue for catching bugs. And she whispered to him, in case he hadn't noticed, that Thumbelina was not green. And what would the neighbors in the pond think? Dun dun dun, dun dun dun, dun dun dun. As you see, she's on the lily pad, and that's the little mom, and that's the frog, and look at the flower. And as you see, the little grass that they're in, basically like a pond. So, the thoughtless frog swam off and left Thumbelina on a lily pad. She tried to be brave, but she was a very tiny maiden, and it was a very big pond. Then kindly old fish saw that she was strayed, and he chewed off the stem off the lily pad, and a butterfly dropped her a grass stem. Then, while she held tightly to one, and he pulled her lily pad to the bank. She was rescuing her, Thumbelina. That's so cute. So, you can see there's the flowers, that's the fish, that's the butterfly, that's the little stem that she's pulling like. And I'm back. Let's finish. Then she was alone again. She picked up some berries to eat and looked for a place to rest. That night she slept under a mushroom. Something woke her up, going, hoot, 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 and she hid under a leaf. The next day, she roamed the woods looking for a home and eating berries and nuts. And so the days of spring and summer passed. Sometimes the weather was pleasant, and she enjoyed the flowers and listening to the birds singing. And some days, it rained. It's okay, because it's still pretty day. Look at that little wing. Even though she's scared, look at the raindrops. They're like golden. That's adorable. And if you guys look closely, you can also see every little touch. Like all her little bug friends. And still, look at her outfit. It's so cute. It's really cute, you guys. So, you guys, I was about to read and it said autumn. I was like, wait, autumn came. She has been there for a long time, and her original parents still have not came and found her. Like, where is you? I need a happy ending. And action. Let's go again. Autumn came and the flowers dried up and the birds flew south. Leaves turned red and golden and then fell from the trees. Then there were more nuts and berries to eat. No more nuts and berries to eat. Thumbelina found some dried beans in the farmer's field, but in a few days theirs were too all gone. Oh my gosh, so like why did they not help her? Look at everything. Everything is dead. It was so sad because she looks so helpless and hungry. Oh no. The north wind blew and snow began to fall. Everything was covered with a blanket of white. Half started and freezing cold. Thumbelina stumbled through the snow and then she saw a tiny glow of light coming from a window in the roots of a tree. She knocked at the door. Knocky knock knock knock. Knocky knock knock knock. Everything. Look at the little ice. Look how long it goes. And it's in a little tree. Look at her. I feel so bad. Cause like I bet she's freezing. That's the only clothes she has. It was the home of Miss Fanny Field Mouse. She sat Thumbelina before the fire and brought her a cup of turnip tea. Thumbelina told Miss Fanny how she came to be lost in the woods. The kind of field mouse told her that she could stay until they could decide what should be done about Thumbelina's future. Oh, they're going to help her. So look, she has onions and acorns. Oh, look at the little bug. Oh, look at that. Look at that. That was quick. We'll take a break. Actually, Miss Fanny already had a little plan. Her neighbor, Mr. Mildew Mole, needed a cook and a housekeeper. Mr. Mole was invited to tea. Before the old gentleman had even finished his how do you do's, he was telling poor Thumbelina what her chores would be, and he wondered if she could bake a good cabbage pie and bake an acorn muffins. If not, Miss Fanny will have to teach her, and of course, there will be a good deal of meeting and all in all, it did not sound too pleasant. During tea, he babbled endless, mostly about himself. Poor Thumbelina tried hard not to yarn in his fuzzy old face. Then after tea, he insisted on showing the ladies a dead bird he found in the tunnels. Okay, but like, How do we come about talking to chores, drinking tea, to talking about a dead bird? That's my question. But anyways, it's like a little blue dead bird, and there's Mr. Mole, and there's Miss Fanny, and everything. And it's so cute. But the bird was not dead. Thumbelina had felt his heart beating faintly. The night she took a little quilt to cover the bird, and she poured a little herb down the his throat. Old Mildew Mole came out of his burrow to see what was going on. He told Thumbelina to stop wasting her time on a useless bird, and he assured that when she came to work for him, there would be no time for such nonsense. See, why did you bring up the bird? She would have never known about the bird unless you had brought up. You obviously wanted her to help the bird, but now you're yelling her saying, don't help that bird. You're not going to be nonsense at my house. Why'd you even bring the bird up? Why? Because she would have never known about the bird if you never brought it up. Miss Fanny taught Thumbelina to cook and sew and keep house. There was not much time for telling stories and dancing and singing, but Thumbelina pretended to learn slowly so she could daily go to work for the mole. And every day she cared for the sick bird. The smell of spring began to fill the air. One day the bird told Thumbelina he felt strong enough to leave the tunnel. She shed a tear and thought of losing him, but it turned out the bird wanted her to leave with him. He told her he knew a place she should see. And look, she helped the bird get all better, and flowers and stuff. It's spring, but it's still a little wintry. Sorry guys, technical difficulties. Thumbelina took a look at the dark hole in the ground. Soon she would be working for Mildew Mole and baking cabbage pies and during Grumpy Mole socks, and she made up her mind. She climbed up on the bird's back and away they flew. When she took a peek, she saw mountains and lakes and beautiful storybook lands. And then, that's so cute. Look at the little castle, the bird, look at her on the back. So cute. Thumbelina. It's a land of little tiny thumbles. There. Oh my gosh, so cute. There came a touch of stardust and magic. The bird sat her down in a mushroom among tiny little flower people like herself. The little prince on the flowers welcomed her and asked if he expected her arrival. As he took her hand, tinkling music perfumed the air. He asked Thumbelina to share his world and become the princess of flowers. A crown of golden glass was placed on her head, and she was given a pair of magic fairy wings. And oh, look at that! She has a little crown. So cute. A little crown, and everybody's like her. I think they're like brothers or sisters or something. They're like, everybody has their own little style, which I love. Look at their styles. I love different personalities. And they live happily ever after. That was the last book I'll be reading, you guys. I just want to thank Miss Nicola and Girls Who Bunch Tour for letting me do a Facebook takeover. This was such a good experience, and I can't wait to do another one. Bye, everyone. I hope you enjoyed my books. Thank you. Bye.